like the congregation to repeat this after me. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I'm at the right place
I'm at the right place.
at the right time.
At the right time.
I'm at the right place
I'm at the right place.
at the right time.
At the right time.
I'm at the right place
I'm at the right place.
at the right time.
At the right time.
Welcome to the Yowm and Yahshua Speak television show. We started on a lesson, part 1, entitled Esau's Calendar. So we're going to continue on that lesson, Esau's Calendar. And just real quickly, we're going to review what we looked at in the first show, where Yahweh commanded his people, Shemitic Israel, to keep his holy days. So then we saw where Shemitic Israel, which is us, disobeyed Yahweh, and they cut themselves off from Yahweh. They forgot about his calendar, they forgot about his holy days, they forgot about his commandments, they forgot everything. And they became estranged and alienated from Yahweh.
Yes, we did.
And we looked at the scriptures where after they turned their back on Yahweh, Yahweh allowed them to be scraped, scattered, healed, trodden down over the whole earth. And we're not going to go back to those scriptures. But we saw that except for Yahweh's mercy, Shemitic Israel would have been totally extinct, eliminated from the earth. So let's go to Isaiah, the 1st chapter, and look at that. But for Yahweh's mercy and goodness, we would have been eliminated from the earth. Because our enemies want to eliminate us from the earth now. But it's Yahweh that's preserving us.
That's it.
Isaiah, the 1st chapter.
All right, so lambs can know.
Read the same verse that we read last night, verse 9. Isaiah 1 and verse 9.
Hallelujah.
Except Yahweh of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah.
All right, so except for Yahweh's goodness, except Yahweh Sabaoth had left unto us, Shemitic Israel, a very small remnant. We should have been a burnt hole in the ground, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. He sent that meteor from Shemayim and just obliterated them. There's nothing but a black hole that was left. The English words, a very small remnant, are 2 Hebrew words found at Blue Letter Bible number 4592 and number 8300. That's Me'at Sarid. Jacinius Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon defines a very small remnant as a scraping, fewness, a little, very few. Scarcely a survivor escaped from a great slaughter, left alive and remaining. So this is what our people went through, this slaughter. So after they lost track of Yahweh, after they cut him off, because they didn't want to listen to him, they went from one calendar to another, following every nation who held them in bondage. So we started looking at the fact that Yahweh's sacred calendar, Yahweh has a calendar that he started in Genesis 1 and 1. And he told us exactly how many days there are in a week, 7. We found out he didn't name the days. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Except now he did say the 7th day, which it says is a Shabbat day, which in Hebrew means 7. Alright? He didn't name the days, and he only named a few months. So we looked at those articles last night, showing the days of the months, that he named. And we looked at how the Romans named them. The Babylonians named them. And different ones named them. Now you got the latest people, Esau's calendar, and they named them, and they named the months. And so we're going to look at that a little later. But Yahweh showed us that Shemitic Israel, who are our people, came out of spiritual death to hear and see people saying and doing all kinds of things about calendars and about Yahweh's holy days. When they are, when they should be kept, what should be done on them. They saw people going over to the land of Israel to look at the barley harvest every year. So we looked at that article about the barley harvest, and there are some people that think you have to go over to Israel every year to look to see if the barley is green and to look and see is it ripe enough to say this is the first of the year.
Okay.
Yahweh didn't tell them to do that.
No, he didn't.
What it is they're following Esau's calendar.
Okay.
Because Esau has made this calendar and call it a Hebrew calendar. And he started this looking at the barley harvest. Then there's some people that say, okay, you got to look at the phases of the moon. So you got to look at the moon and then see when the first of Yahweh's year starts. He didn't say to do that either.
Right.
As a matter of fact, in Genesis, the first chapter, let's go there, he didn't even create the sun and the moon until the fourth
Praise
day.
the mighty Yah. Tell it like it is, Ross, so the hams can know.
So for people now saying you got to go look at the barley harvest, you got to go look at the moon, then they're doing something that Yahweh was already creating days. Time, his calendar had already started.
All right.
So they're 4 days late.
Okay.
All right, Genesis, the first chapter. And let's read verse 14.
Hallelujah.
Genesis 1, let's start at verse 14.
And Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
All right, so he said, all right, I'm going to make some lights, and these lights are to divide the day from the night, and for signs, seasons, for days and years.
Okay.
So, spring season, all right? He's saying a sign, you look and you see it's dark out there, you know, okay, it's probably going to rain.
Right,
That's
right.
a sign. For days and years, so he's saying he already started, we'll look at it where this is now going to be the fourth day, but he's saying for days and years, he didn't say nothing about the holy days. All right, he'll let you know. Let's go to verse 15, please.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so.
Now you're talking about the lights, 16.
And Elohim made two green lights.
Two greater.
Oh, two great lights. The greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made stars also.
So these are things he made to give light to the earth. The
Right.
earth is a dark place, verse
Right,
17.
And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
He said it again. I set these, and he's talking about the sun and the moon, we're going to see, to give light to the earth.
Right,
Now there's some people looking at them and saying, oh, this is when a day starts, or this is when a day ends. All right, but that's them. 18.
That's it.
And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good.
So they're dividing the light from the darkness, but Yahweh's not saying that's when the day begins or ends.
Right.
That's disconnected because he's already got 3 days. Let's look at this next verse. Verse 19.
And the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
All right, so Yahweh said at the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
Right.
So his calendar already started. All right, so then we got to get some wisdom from Yahweh where he's saying, hey, what is that about your calendar, Father? You said that we need to keep your holy days. So how do we get from you how to start keeping your holy days again?
Okay.
All right, and we had looked at the biblical calendar, which this book, The Annals of the World, which is written by this man called Iyshshah, and this man is one that he studied the Bible, and what he did was he went back to see exactly when creation was, and to see when other things happened. So you see this big, thick book.
Yeah.
And Sister Zahara DeRock blessed us years ago. It was over 10 years ago she gave us this
God was
book.
getting us ready.
And I only copied one thing out of the back because it asked the question, why is Jewish dating different? And so we were passing that out as a flyer. So now Yahweh, here he is years later honing this.
Hallelujah.
Now this man, Iyshshah, if you have a Bible and you look in Genesis, we were in Genesis, the first chapter. if your Bible has a date on top of Genesis 1 and 1, it says 4004 BC. So this is this man who looked at the Bible scriptures, he looked at the Roman calendars and all these calendars that are out here, and he started some calculations, and Yahweh let him know, okay, you know what, these Roman calendars are off 4 to 9 years. So that's why he said creation is 4004 BC. All right, and then whatever chapter you go to, if you have a date at the top of the calendar, then this is this man, Iyshshah, the Annals of the World, which everybody that is into biblical dating has used this man
Hallelujah.
as a basis
Praise
to
the mighty
base
God.
their dates on, including Esau. All right, but the Annals of the World told us that Yahweh's has 12 months in a year,
Okay.
and every month is the same amount, 30 days.
Y'all right, Rod. Tell like it is.
All right, so we saw that Yahweh woke us up, Shemitic Israel, to
Hallelujah.
see that Esau's people were pretending to be us,
Okay.
and that they had made what's called a Hebrew calendar. But he also told us that we could not rely and trust completely on that calendar,
Right.
because he started showing us some things about the calendar. Remember, the goal is for us to keep Yahweh's holy days, because they're commanded that we keep them.
Right.
But Yahweh wants us to use wisdom for him to show us, okay, what can you use as a tool so you can find out these holy days. All right, so we saw that Esau's people stole our identity.
Yeah.
What they did was they made up their own laws, statutes, and commandments. They didn't take the laws and statutes that Yahweh gave us.
Tell like it is,
They
Rod.
made up their
So he has to
own.
know.
It's called the Talmud. It's
Okay.
called the 613
Okay.
Mishpah or commandments.
Yeah.
It's called the Mishnah, and it's called the Torah. But either way, these are things that Esau made up, and we looked at Daniel the 7th chapter. Let's
Okay.
go there again. Because
Hallelujah.
Esau was joined with the Greeks and the Romans.
Okay.
They
Tell like it is,
adopted the
Rod.
same
Hallelujah.
practice that the Greeks and Romans did,
Okay.
especially the Romans, of changing and altering Yahweh's sacred
It's
calendar.
written.
Daniel the 7th chapter. So they were just doing the same thing that the people that they were joined in government with
Uh-huh.
did. Daniel 7, and this time we're going to get to the point. We're just going to read verse 25.
Hallelujah.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given unto his hand until a time and times, and the dividing of times.
And here's Yahweh saying that here is a power. He's talking about a specific person, but he's talking about a system of government
Right.
that Shemitic Israel was going to be over,
Uh-huh.
was going to be under. All right? It says, this power shall speak great dabarim against El Elyon, and shall wear out Hakadeshim of El Elyon. How's he going to wear them out? By all this rabbit trail, by all this confusion,
Okay.
by all this changing of time, by
Yeah.
throwing out a day here, adding another day
Right.
here, looking at the sun to say, okay, a year is 365 days long, except in another year it's got to be 366 days long. This is only because a man in his mind
Yes, man.
said, okay, since I'm a GOD, then I can decide this. And this is what this Esau's calendar, when we look at it, which we are, we're going to see that's
The mighty
the
Yah.
basis of what they did, because they were hooked up with these people.
Right.
All right, so wearing out the saints of Yahweh in the information age, if you're feeding whatever you're listening to, you're feeding this
Tell it like
into
it
you,
is,
into
Rob.
your ruach.
Tell it like it
That's
is,
why
Rod.
you have to have your guard up and
That's
don't
right.
let everything in.
Say, have your armor on.
Including there may be some people around you
Uh-huh.
saying some things Don't just take that in.
I know, right?
Yahweh showed you how to block that out.
Yeah.
We know how to tune people
Hallelujah.
out. It's just we may not know we should be tuning people and tuning things out. And don't turn the TV on to let that stuff in.
Uh-huh.
But that wears people out. And then they thought to change times and laws. What times and law did they think to change? Yahweh's sacred calendar, the
Okay.
Hebrew calendar. So remember, our forefathers were spiritually dead, cut off from Yahweh, had been scraped and scoured all over the earth for disobedience. There's only a very few of us left. So now, Yahweh is showing us, okay, now you're awake.
Okay.
Now let me show you
Praise
how to
the
separate
mighty God.
truth from error.
Yes.
Now let me show you
Hallelujah.
what you're supposed to do so you can get on track and stay on track.
Hallelujah.
All right? Now we read how there's people that think to change times and laws. We left off on part 1 of this with this article, The Hebrew Calendar, a marvel of ancient astronomy and math. Now this is not Yahweh's calendar.
All right.
It's talking about Esau's calendar. That's what the title of the lesson is, Esau's calendar. And matter of fact, this is the Esau that wrote it on September 25th, 2014. He says, the biggest marvel is how Iron Age Jews managed to adjust the lunar calendar to the solar one. We just saw in Genesis, the 1st chapter, that the lunar, or the moon, wasn't created until 4 days after Yahweh started creation. Solar, or the sun, wasn't created till 4 days after.
Y'all right, Rod.
So who is this talking about? Now, Yahweh's calendar has to be adjusted to the sun and the moon.
No.
He said they worship the creation more than the creator. That's what they're doing.
Yep.
All right, now, the Hebrew calendar, Esau's calendar, is based on the cycles of the moon, not the solar cycle.
Okay.
It says Israel's official calendar is the Hebrew one. It's talking about Esau's calendar. According to Jewish counting, on September 24, 2014, we entered the year 5775.
So they say.
Now, we just read Daniel 7:25 about the Romans and those hooked up with them thought to change times and laws, and that can wear people out.
Right.
Well, here's somebody saying now it's the year 5775. They said that 2014, 4 years ago.
Okay.
So, but now, what year is it according to the Romans? 2018, right?
Right.
See, so that can kind of, if you go to puzzling about it too much, don't puzzle about
That's
it.
right.
Just hear what Yahweh's telling you.
That's it.
And throw that garbage out and let Him show you what the truth is. All right, but it's just you need to have an awareness of what is going on.
Yeah.
All right. So it says they got that year 5775 from the supposed, since the world was created on Saturday night, October 6, 3761 BC. Now, normal thinking people, that ought to tell you.
I know, right?
Said this reckoning was instituted by Maimonides in the 12th century. Now, this is the one that did the 613 laws.
Okay.
This is the one that was all up in what's called Judaism.
Okay.
Again, Esau's people stole our identity, but they rejected Yahweh's laws.
That's
They
it.
took the
Tell
ones
like
that
it is,
they
Ross.
wanted, and then they threw the rest of them away.
Right.
All right? So, we cannot follow anybody 100% except
Nope.
Yahweh.
That's it.
And we should not get frustrated
Nope.
because we cannot follow any human being 100%.
Okay.
That should make us be glad, because then we'll keep having to tune into Yahweh. We'll
Yes.
keep having to talk to Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
We'll keep having to have Him instruct us.
It's a
So
must.
that's comforting.
Yes, it is.
That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
That's the best thing.
All right? It says, moving on to today. Israel's official calendar is the Hebrew one. But again, not Yahweh's.
Okay.
It's Esau's calendar. Under law, it's official Israeli documents. So we found in the first show, they stopped calling themselves Esau's people. The first people that stopped calling themselves Esau's people were the Greeks and Romans. They named them Idumeans and Temanites. All right? Now then they dropped Esau's people and they started naming themselves Israeli
Okay.
and Jewish. Okay? They don't say nothing about Esau now, but you better know about Esau.
That's it.
All right? This is Esau's calendar right here. All right? Okay.
Praise the mighty Yah.
It says, under law, official Israeli documents must have the Hebrew date on them, talking about Esau's calendar date. Moreover, holidays in Israel are determined according to the Jewish calendar, not the Gregorian one. All right, and that's the one that we all get,
Right.
that people pass around, and you can go by that for certain things.
Right.
So don't act like you're crazy, like, okay, I can't do anything according to this calendar.
I know, right?
All right? Says, thus a given fest, say Rosh Hashanah, will happen on the same day each year according to Jewish reckoning, but on a different day each year according to the Gregorian calendar. Well, those of us that have been in this a long time, we understand the Passover may fall on a different date according to the Gregorian calendar.
Right.
But it's always the 14th day of the first month of Yahweh's month.
That's right.
Iysh.
Y'all right. Tell like it is.
All right, so we
know.
shouldn't get confused. The Feast of
Shouldn't.
Unleavened Bread, first day is always the 15th day of the first month of
Right.
Yahweh's calendar.
Hallelujah.
So don't let it boggle your mind.
I know,
Like,
right?
wait a minute. Hey, it happened in March last year, so it's supposed to happen in March again. No, it's not, because the Romans
That's right.
played with Yahweh's
Tell like it
calendar.
is, Rod. So the hams can know.
We're going to stick with what Yahweh says.
Thus
It doesn't
says
matter
Yahweh.
what date the Roman calendar has on it.
Hallelujah.
All right? We're going to stick with Yahweh, so now we can't just go by this calendar 100% either,
No,
because
no,
we're going to
no.
find out they did just as much tweaking, if not more, than the Romans
All
did.
they have.
All right?
Look at it.
All right. It says, even civil holidays in Israel, such as Jerusalem Day. What is that? Right? Is that in here? I haven't seen it. I've been looking at this book for almost 40 years. I haven't seen Jerusalem Day. Are based on the Jewish calendar. Oh, that's why. The Hebrew calendar is very complicated. Talking about Esau's calendar now.
Okay.
Because it has to align the solar year, 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds, with the lunar year. 12 months of 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 3 seconds.
That's off right there.
Now we saw when we looked at when Yahweh told Noah to take his family into the ark.
Right.
We saw from there that Yahweh has exactly 12 months in every year. All of his months have exactly 30 days.
Yes.
You don't have to figure out how many hours or how many minutes. None of that.
I know, right?
That's why we let go of that sundown thing.
Yeah.
Because with sundown, you got 5 minutes the day before, or
Right.
well, it's 5 minutes later the day after. That's
Tell like
nothing
it is, bro.
but Daniel 7:25. People thinking to change times and laws.
Right.
And that's nothing but trying to wear us out
Hallelujah.
by all these man-made things that people have made.
That's it.
So it's time for us to come up out of that.
It is.
So the man saying that means it must make allowance for the fact that 12 lunar months are about 12 days shorter than the solar year. Who told you had to line up the sun with the moon? Did Yahweh say that about
No.
his calendar?
No.
He did not. So as Kiefer said, who you going to follow?
Yahweh.
There you go.
Most High, yeah.
It's the only
He said
way.
an ancient limestone calendar. Like most ancient peoples, at first, the Jews followed a strictly lunar calendar. That's what he's saying, but that's not true. After our earliest record of this is a 10th century BC calendar found in the Canaanite town of Gezer, midway between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Regarding a quote-unquote Israelite New Year, this seems to have swung back and forth over the centuries. Now, Yahweh not swinging back and forth.
I know, right?
Now, unless he's talking about, if you look at the Gregorian calendar or the Julian calendar, and it doesn't fall on the same day.
Right?
It always falls on the same day with Yahweh.
Yeah.
All right? The Gezer calendar seems to place the start of the new year in the fall. By the time the Torah was redacted, in other words, pulled back and revised, It's just like people say, okay, the end of the year is going to be this and that, and then they have to pull it back and revise it because why? It didn't happen. The date passed and it didn't happen.
Right.
The latest thing we went through was that Mayan thing in 2012.
Right.
All right? They're dead, but if they were here, then they'd have to pull it back and make another date. It says, by the time the Torah was redacted, pulled back 4 centuries later, the new year had moved to spring.
All right.
Yeah.
Today is celebrated in the fall again. Now you should ask yourself, why?
I know, right?
Why? Is Yahweh sending out some new laws? Is Yahweh writing a new Bible?
No.
No, it's men getting in there and they're saying, okay, you know what? I can change this and I can make this be that. All right? But see, we should know you can, but I'm not going to follow you.
That right?
All right, the arrival of spring. The solar calendar is automatically in line with the seasons, but being some 12 days shorter, the lunar calendar is not. The Bible doesn't tell us how the lunar calendar was periodically adjusted to keep in line with the seasons. Now he's talking about Yahweh. The Bible doesn't tell us how the lunar calendar was periodically adjusted to keep in line with the seasons. Why? Because Yahweh didn't base his calendar, sacred calendar, on the moon.
That right?
He didn't do anything that's going to be shifting and sliding all over the place.
That way.
All right? That's why the Bible doesn't tell him. It's not in there. Just like Yahshua's birthday.
Right.
It's not in there.
Yeah, right.
So then I can't make up when his birthday is. Then I can't make up and go look at the moon. And I can, but I'm not going to be any closer to Yahweh.
No, you're not.
All right? He said, now, here come Esau. But it must have been, at least from the days of King Josiah, and the centralization of the cult in Jerusalem. Well, our forefathers weren't a cult.
No, they wasn't.
It says in the second half of the 7th century BC. But this is Esau saying this.
Right.
The people of Israel were required to bring agricultural crops to Jerusalem. And if there had been a seasonal creep in some years, there would have been no produce to bring as tithe. So again, this is going back to the people to say, it's based on the crops.
Right.
Whatever comes up out of the ground when it's green, and that's what the calendar is supposed to be based on. No, it's not. All right. Now, on Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot, which has specific Hebrew dates, well, guess what? Shavuot don't have a specific Hebrew date. It has to be counted
Praise the mighty Yah.
from when Yahshua went in the grave. Now, Esau's calendar, they just count 50 days from when Yahshua was put in the grave. Yahweh gives us in Leviticus, and we looked at that when we started studying his calendar a couple of weeks ago. He said, count unto you from the morrow after the Shabbat 7 complete weeks. So if we take the date on Esau's calendar when Shavuot is supposed to be, we're always going to be off. It may it may not be on the first day of the week.
Right.
Shavuot is always on the first day of the week. If you didn't know that, then you're finding out now.
Hallelujah.
So Passover has a set date, 14th day of the first month.
Right.
Shavuot, which is the Feast of Weeks, has to be counted.
Hallelujah.
And that's the thing where we have to be careful about the counting, because we were counting this year, and Yahshua died a day after. The Passover is going to be on a Wednesday. The year he died, it was on a Tuesday.
Hallelujah.
So Yahshua was in the grave 3 days and 3 nights, and he got out right before the weekly Shabbat ended.
Right.
Which was going into the first day of the week, the night of the first day of the week. But this year, because it was a day after, he was still in the grave on that Sunday night. All right? He got out actually right before the first day of the week ended to Monday.
Hallelujah.
that meant we couldn't count that week. And bless Messenger Davis's heart,
Hallelujah.
when we had that meeting at the Temple of God in Jesus Christ
Praise
last
the mighty
year,
Yah.
Yahweh had him recorded, and Yahweh had me take notes.
Hallelujah.
And when we were doing the calendar this year, the Ruach said, in Messenger Davis' voice, don't forget the wave sheaf.
Praise Yahweh.
Say, don't forget the wave sheaf. Because the wave sheaf is always waved on the first day of the week.
Yeah, yeah.
The day after the weekly Shabbat.
Right, right.
Because Yahshua was still in the grave this year, or next year when we're going to celebrate the Pesach, we couldn't count from that Sunday. Because one of the days it wasn't a 7 complete week. Okay, I'm just giving a quick overview. So we had to go to the following Sunday. Because then we could get day 1 through 7.
Hallelujah.
A complete week. All right? Okay. Let's go back here to these postponements. All right? So now, the man says, talking about Yahweh, it's almost certain. This is how Yahweh told our forefathers to adjust for seasonal creep. In other words, the seasons change, so you got to watch, and if it's too cold or if it's too hot, then you change Yahweh's calendar. That's a lie.
I know, right?
That's a lie. That's nowhere in the Bible. It says, at the end of the 12th month, lunar month, priests in Jerusalem determined spring had arrived. That's a lie too. If spring was deemed to have arrived, great. The new moon was a sign that not only the first month had begun, but also a new year. That's why you have people going over there. You have people with telescopes looking at the moon. That's why you have people going over to Israel to check the barley harvest. Because Yahweh is concise, He's got 12 months in a year.
Right, right.
He's got 30 days in a month.
Yeah.
And you can look at when He says Great Tribulation is. He said it's 42 months. Then He said, if you don't understand how long that is, it's 3.5 years. He said, if you don't understand how that is, it's time, 1 year, times 2 years, and a half a year, 6 months. So He gave you His precise calculation for that 30-day month right there, and the 12-month year.
Hallelujah.
All right? You said, but if the priest decided that it was still winter, an additional leap year, or embolismic year, or month, as it was called, was added.
Okay.
Messengers would only be sent out a month later. So you see how man is changing all this stuff around and hoping that Shemitic Israel follows them. Don't do that. You better follow Yahweh and Yahshua.
That's it.
It says, thus the calendar was kept in line with the seasons. That's talking about Esau's calendar. It's possible that this process was made more precise with the introduction of a sundial. Introduced by King Ahaz in the end of the 8th century BC. So you notice how he's saying it's possible.
Yeah,
it may have been. That's the same thing as evolution.
Right.
Well, see, it could have happened this way. So when somebody's saying it's possible or may have been, they're guessing.
All right.
And really what they're doing is lying. All right? It seems that before their banishment from the Holy Land and exile in Babylon, now this is talking about Shemitic Israel, us, the ancient Hebrews hadn't given their actual months names. Why? Because Yahweh didn't tell them what the name was.
Right.
And we saw last night that only a few months actually have names.
Right, right.
Now when you look at Esau's calendar, you see all the months have names.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one of the months has a name of a pagan god, Tammuz. So if you're wondering, well, how come this guy? It's because it's Esau's calendar. And it's because they put things in there that Yahweh didn't put in His. Alright, now He says, the hand of imperfect men. At first, the decision on when exactly 1 month ended and another began, and when a leap month was to be added was in the hand of men. If it starts out in the hand of men, how are you going to use the same process, or how are you going to change that and then say, okay, now Yahweh's doing it? If it starts out one way,
I know, right?
it's still the same way.
Right?
He said, but in a gradual process, spanning hundreds of years,
Yeah.
a fixed system was
That's
devised,
it.
which we, talking about them, Esau's people, use today.
Yeah.
They started out deciding. Now they said, okay, we get a system, so now it's spiritual.
Yeah.
Now it's from Yahweh. No, it's
Okay.
not. No, it's not. All right, so now, Samuel the astronomer. Let's look at this. He's a key figure in the process of formalizing the calendar from observation to calculation.
Formalized.
He was the great Babylonian rabbi Samuel of Nehardia, who was a great astronomer.
Okay.
Esau's people now.
Right?
The Talmud, who's that?
Talmud.
Esau's people, quotes him as saying, I am as familiar with the courses of the stars as with the streets of Nehardia.
What?
Samuel developed the calculations necessary to determine the calendar without relying on messengers from Palestine, which he explained meant that Jews outside of Palestine no longer had to add an extra day to their holidays. Can I add an extra day
No.
to Yahweh's
No.
feast? I can't do that. He said, though halakha, which is Jewish law, still prescribes that these extra days should be kept just the same. Said the rules that we know today in Esau's calendar were fully laid out in writing in the 9th century. Now, here we go. You heard him say about these embolism years, or the years where they add another month.
Okay.
All right, he said, how does it work? The basic Jewish New Year, Esau's calendar, has 12 months with 5 months of 29 days and 5 months of 30 days, which alternate.
Yeah.
Who decided that?
They
Was it
did.
Yahweh? Right. The 2 other months, Heshvan and Kislev, change from year to year. Who's doing that?
Damn.
Esau. According to the rules elaborated below, which we're going to read, which means they,
Yeah.
not Shemitic Israel, they have a 13th month called Adar Bet, or a second Adar, a second 12th month.
Okay.
They. See, there's them and then there's you
Right.
and me.
Right. We for Yah.
Whether your year is embolismic, meaning you add another month, where you have 13 months, is determined by its place on a 19-year cycle. Most years are regular 12 months years, except for years 3, 6, 8, 11, 14, 17, and 19, which is embolismic. So we were looking at the embolismic calendar when we were trying to see what the holy days are for the coming year.
Right.
Because why? What did we see? 12 months. We saw 13 months, right? Each year, whether embolismic or not, starts on Rosh Hashanah, the day the new moon of Tishri appears. That's why you have them talking about Happy New Year around September or October.
Right.
If they say Happy New Year to you, you say, no, my New Year's in the spring.
Right.
14 days before the Pesach starts.
Right.
But they want you to think it's the New Year because they geared their calendar, Esau's people, and they'll tell you Happy New Year.
Right.
All right? Now, it says, if one of 4 conditions, they call it dekiot, which means postponements. So Esau says, if Yahweh's holy day falls on a day that's inconvenient, we can move it a day earlier, or we can move it a day later. We don't have to have it on the inconvenient day. They call these postponements. All right? He said, one of 4 conditions called postponements are met. The Rosh Hashanah holiday, and thus the beginning of the year, is postponed by a day or 2. In practice, this happens in most years. So now this should explain to you why the question was asked, well, how come this temple celebrated this holiday a week ago or a month ago? How come this temple celebrated the day before we did or the day after we did? Because Yahweh is having us separate truth from error.
Hallelujah.
And so Esau decided, oh, I'm going to put it a day ahead, I'm going to put it a day behind. So but we need to have that understanding so that we won't be frustrated. Just be content at the temple you are.
Hallelujah.
Pray for revelation knowledge. If you're one of these people that Yahweh has blessed to go into the calendar and actually straighten it out.
Hallelujah.
Don't go from temple to temple condemning people saying, this is the day you're supposed to. No. Bring the research and help Yahweh's people out. Sit down and explain. And it's got to be according to what Yahweh says in His Word. It can't be something you made up in your mind. Like this sweet brother brought us this big old long chart that he made and started when the sun and moon were created on the 4th day. So then we listened for about 2 hours taking notes, and we said, okay, brother, what about the first 3 days of creation? Oh, you just ignore those, throw them out. Like, ooh, Yahweh, I'm not throwing nothing out that you made.
That's right.
Amen.
Then, every 10 years, something happens that only He can explain in the calendar. And we say, okay, so you mean you're the only one that can tell us why this every 10 years this happens? And we say, you know what? We understand you mean well. We understand you've researched a lot. But we recommend you go back to the drawing board.
That's it.
And bring us some more research.
Hallelujah.
Meanwhile, we're just going to continue doing what Yahweh showed us to do.
That's it. Praise.
All right, these postponements. All right, what are the postponing rules? If Rosh Hashanah falls on a Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday, it's postponed by a day. If the new moon appears after noon, Rosh Hashanah is postponed by a day. If the new day is one of those in Rule 1, Rosh Hashanah gets postponed by 2 days.
Oh, no.
See how they're trying to wear the saints out?
Yeah.
If you look all into this, and sometimes people look and think, well, why did they do that? Because they think they G.O.D.
Right. Tell like it is,
Because
Ross.
they think they have the power and authority to do something that Yahweh only put in His hands.
Right.
Because they think they're leading somebody instead of following somebody.
Right.
We're the followers. We're not the leaders.
Hallelujah.
We follow no man. Follow no man anywhere except for Yahshua that came to the earth. And now He's back into His deity form.
That's it.
Number 3, in a regular 12-month year, that isn't one that is embolismic. If the new moon of Tishri appears more than 20 seconds past 3:11 a.m. on a Tuesday, you hear this? Do you hear this? Rosh Hashanah is postponed by 2 days. He said that rarely occurs. 20 seconds past 3:11 a.m. on a Tuesday. Can you see the man-made?
Yeah.
Can you see why we cannot trust this?
No, we can't.
100%? Unless we're nuts. Number 4, in years that follow an embolismic year, if the new moon appears on a Monday, more than 43 seconds past 9:32 a.m., then Rosh Hashanah is postponed by a day. You might assume these 1 or 2 day postponements simply cause 1 or 2 days to be added to the last month of the year. Not so. In fact, they were added 6 months in advance to the winter months of Heshvan and Kislev, which we said change in length from year to year. And then he talks about how they can calculate the calendar from year to year. Yeah, as long as you got some of these crazy people, and whichever one dies, they tell the other one what the next crazy instruction is, so then he can keep doing this instruction from his own mind. And he said, if you have the data on when the new moon will rise over Jerusalem for each year, information that's readily available online, you can calculate the Hebrew calendar yourself. Though thankfully you don't have to do this. Yeah, we do.
Right.
Hallelujah.
Praise
Praise
God.
Yahweh. All right, let's go to, well, let me just read this. The fallacy of 212 months of Adar. And we had looked at this a couple of weeks ago. Jewish people, well, the month of Adar is the 12th or last month of Yahweh's sacred year. In the Tanakh, which is the Jewish abbreviation for Torah, prophets and writings, in the event of a leap year, so you see their calendar has leap years. Who started with the leap year? The Romans, right?
That's right.
All right. A second month is added to Yahweh's 12 months. No, it's not. It's added to you all's 12 months.
Right.
Jewish people, we understand, are descendants of Esau. Talk about Esau's calendar. All right. Now, they write the 12-month sequence of months making up the Hebrew calendar, talking about their calendar, is as follows.
Right.
And now remember, all of Yahweh's months don't have names, so you're talking about Esau's calendar.
Right.
1, Nisan. And we saw that name only came, that's really a Babylonian name.
Right.
Yahweh named the first month Abib.
Yes, he did.
All right. 2, Iyar. 3, Sivan. 4, Tammuz. And that's the one of that pagan God.
Okay.
Esau's calendar. That's not in Yahweh's calendar.
Right.
5, Av. 6, Elul. 7, Tishri. 8, Cheshvan. 9, Kislev. 10, Tebet. 11, Shabbat. 12, Adar 1. 13, Adar 2 in leap year. 13 months. Adar 1 and Adar 2. It says in a leap year there are 212 months. All of Yahweh's 12 months contain 30 days. Now let me read this here.
Yeah.
Jewish 212 months false reasoning. Now this is why they say we can add another month to and have 13. General principle. Adar 1, and we only refer to an Adar as Adar 1 when there is also an Adar 2, is always full. That is, it contains 30 days. All the Yahweh's months always contain 30 days. Also, the Adar closest to Nisan, whether regular Adar in a non-leap year or Adar 2 in a leap year, is not always full. That is, it's 29 days.
Right.
So it just back and forth. Now it said the 12th month has a personality.
Yeah.
It says Adar is the happiest, most joyful month of the Jewish Hebrew calendar. The abundance of joy in Adar is primarily due to the presence within the month of Purim. All right, that's the month that our forefathers instituted, or they said, okay, we're going to have a feast on this month because Yahweh delivered us from Haman, the plot that was out to destroy them.
All right. Tell like it is.
Yahweh didn't put it in here to be celebrated that year.
That's right.
They threw a party that year.
Right.
So whoever wants to keep celebrating that, don't equivalize it and say it's equivalent to what Yahweh actually told us.
No, it
our
didn't.
holy convocation.
No, it didn't.
All right? We're glad that our forefathers were delivered.
Yeah.
But setting it up as a holy convocation on Esau's calendar. And
Okay.
the people that are doing that, they're following Esau.
Right.
All right, and we know what it commemorates. Okay. Okay. It says, Adar is the most joyous of all months, so much so that no evil anti-Semitic, now remember, we said in the first show, they take the H out of Shem.
Right.
So that's a trademark that is Esau's people. They call themselves Semitic, not Shemitic. All right. No evil, anti-Semitic evil eye can affect its blessing. And it talks about what Haman wanted to do. All right. So Yahweh's people observe no traditions of men.
None.
Now let's go to the Jewish calendar's 240 missing years. Now Esau's calendar counts New Year's. It dated from the Middle Ages. And it says the Roman New Year of 2018, which is what we're in now,
Right.
is equivalent to Esau's year of 5778. And for those of you that got the calendar, you can see it on there. And then they say this Rosh Hashanah, which they say is their Jewish New Year, not Yahweh's New Year. It marks the changing of the year from 5778 to 5779. All right. Now Esau's people rejected Yahshua as the Messiah and deliberately falsified and shortened the historical record of Yahweh's time recorded in the Bible to attempt to cloud the prophetic bullseye pointing to Yahshua. And they wanted to set up their own person as the Messiah.
Right.
And some of their people claim that Yahshua never came, just like say some of Shemitic Israel. Why? Because we're awakened from spiritual death.
Hallelujah.
So we're finding our way.
Yes.
And we're transitioning through.
Yes, we are.
All right? And so Yahweh showed us, okay, he stole your identity, so he's got some stuff going on. I need you to look at him and take back what's yours.
Hallelujah.
And leave what's not yours.
Hallelujah.
All right? So now, I have this article. It's from www.prophecyinthenews.com. It says, found at last. The Jewish calendar is 240 missing years. So they're at year 57 something.
He found it at last.
240 missing years. What they did was they went through the Bible and then they said, okay, no, let's take 5 years off of here. Let's take, no, this didn't happen. Let's say it happened here and there and there. All right, let's read a little bit of it. Western civilization uses a calendar that dates from the first advent of Christ. To us, it is the year AD 2005. It says, Yahshua, it says that is approximately, Yahshua was born 2005 years ago in Bethlehem. In 1658, Bishop James Ussher set the date for the birth of Christ at 4 BC, claiming that our calendar was an error by 4 years. So again, this is the book that told us about these 240 missing years. Bishop Ussher. This is the book that the man searched the calendar and went back and started dating things to straighten out all this error from these other pagan calendars that were floating around. All right, so let's move down. According to Ussher, Adam was created on Friday, 6 days after the new moon of September, October in 4004 BC. Was he created on the 6th day?
No. Wait, 6th day. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It just wasn't called Friday.
The 4th day was.
Yeah. Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He said man was created on the 6th day.
Right.
All right. He said, today in AD 2005 is generally believed among Christians that Adam was created around 6,009 years ago, and that Yahshua was born about 2,009 years ago. However, the Jewish calendar, now we're talking about Esau, says that this year is 5765 AM. The term AM means Anno Mundi, Latin for from the creation of the world. So you see how they changed, what was it, AD to BC and BC to BCE, and they changed AD, I believe now it's like CE. But so now here Esau comes with something else, AM, all right, Anno Mundi, trying to wear you out. Don't be worn out, just let Yahweh show you what he wants to show you, and then you'll come back and be refreshed. So then you'll have some kind of background so nobody can come up to you and tell you a bunch of junk about, yes, this is the calendar we use, see, and then, you know, and we went through a situation this year. That's why Yahweh showed us when they added this 13 month. And then all we did was ignore it. Okay, now, which calendar is closest to being right? This man says certainly not the Jewish calendar. Okay. Let's keep going down here. What happened to the 240 years? Says Dr. Fred Nolan in his book, The Chronology of the Old Testament. reported that early Jewish historians dated historical events from 312 BC, the time of the establishment of the Seleucid dynasty. Now that's a fancy word for the Greeks. All right? Seleucus was one of the 4 generals who divided the Greek Empire following the death of Alexander the Great. He said, according to Jewish chronology, Alexander had requested that his statue be placed in the temple at Jerusalem. Simon the high priest explained how disagreeable this would be to Jewish feelings and suggested that the Jews could bestow an even greater honor on him by naming all the male babies born to the priesthood that year Alexander. They would also accept the year of his conquest of the empire as the first year of counting in all legal documents. This system, called Minyan Shetariat, commenced on the 1st of Tishri 312 BC and was still in use over 1,500 years later. So this is just like historical facts.
Right.
That,
Right.
All right, let me get to the Seder Olam Rabbah. All right, the basis, this is talking about the calendar that they called it the Seder Olam Rabbah. The basis for the modern Jewish calendar lies in the Seder Olam Rabbah, or the Book of the Order of the World, which was compiled in the mid-2nd century by Yoshi ben Halapha. All right, so that's Edomite.
Right.
Now, for the details, he said, the Seder Olam claims that Terah fathered Abraham at the age of 70. Let's go to Genesis 11:26. So this is where they start taking times off. The Seder Olam Rabbah claims that Abraham was fathered. His father Terah fathered him at the age of 70. And then I got this other article. It says, Seder Olam Rabbah, the dirty little secret about the modern Jewish calendar. This is written by Rabbi Yossi ben Halapha. We just saw that. And they say the fictional dating chronology used by all Jewish people today. Number 1, Seder Olam became the blueprint template to change the chronological numbers in Genesis chapter 5 and 11 in the Hebrew Torah. 2, the Seder Olam Rabbah was written by Josie ben Halapha, who lived in the 3rd century. 3, Seder Olam dates to 160 AD and provides solid evidence that the Jews, talking about Esau, reduced the age of the earth to disqualify Yahshua as the Messiah.
Wow.
That's why they did it.
A consequence, repeat this after me. Hallelujah. I'm at the right place.
I'm at the right place.
At the right time.
At the right time.
I'm at the right place.
I'm at the right place.
At the right time.
At the right time.
I'm at the right place.
I'm at the right place.
At the right time.
At the right time.